You can always trust NMH at 1 to update you on the news making headlines across Namibia, Africa, and the globe, all through the lunch hour. Today we share local community stories, updates on what's happening in the world of money, and keep up with various sports locally and internationally. In the news today, the new periodic court opened yesterday at Seeis, attended by the Chief Justice and Justice Minister. The Anti-Corruption Commission highlights the crucial role played by media in the fight against corruption. Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly sentenced to 30 years behind bars. We'll also take a look at the news headlining today's daily newspapers, bring you sports and economic news, and more international headlines. I am Glenn Rashipura, and this is NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, the Namibia Bus and Taxi Association has elected Jeffrey Platt as its president to be deputized by Siremo Sikwaya. Pandapala Nakathinko will remain as its national general secretary, while Magnus Namgombe takes the reins as its chairman. This follows its elective congress held today. Do stick around for visual news right after the break. In today's visual news, yesterday marked the opening of the new periodic court at Seeis. Chief Justice Peter Shibute and Justice Minister Yvonne Dausep attended the unveiling of the inaugural plate and the cutting of the ribbon. Christian Kruger was there.
Namibians continue to face many barriers to accessing justice, and the expansion of the court system to reach more communities and more people contributes to the reduction of those barriers. Amongst the most significant challenges facing the court system in this country is a lack of available court space, which leads to judicial backlog. Currently, the waiting period at magistrates' courts can range from a few months to several years. Across this entire country, we currently have 90 magistrates employed, with 104 positions currently funded and 14 vacancies. Those 90 magistrates preside over 37 district courts, 37 periodical courts, 9 regional courts, and 21 circuit regional courts. I hope the chief magistrate was consulted about these statistics. While some magistrates preside over multiple courts, the practical reality today is a court system worked to the brink. As of April 2022, the magistrates' court system currently has a backlog of 20,621 cases, of which 12,000 have been in backlog for over a year and sometimes much longer. A year-long delay for 1 day in court does not exemplify an accessible justice system. As President Hage Geingob said in his address opening the 2022 legal year, this February, justice delayed is justice denied.
We are about to witness today is a stark contrast to the erstwhile court facility at the Hosea International Airport. It has adequate office space to cater for key role players in the criminal justice system, including facilities to ensure that people with disabilities have access to the court building. We are therefore very happy to see that the community of Seeis now has a court building closer to the community. I would like to extend, on behalf of the judiciary and on my own behalf, our profound gratitude to government, represented here today by the Honorable Minister of Justice.
Well, it's our great honor now to unveil the plaque signifying the opening of the court. There you are. The building is officially open. Okay. Voila. Thank you.
The new periodic court at Seeis consists of one courtroom, offices and holding cells for men and women. The cost of the building was 5.5 million Namibian dollars, and this includes the recording system that is installed in the courtroom.
The Anti-Corruption Commission held its annual meeting with the Erongo media in Swakopmund recently. The key points of discussion was about the crucial role the media plays in the fight against corruption and how the two parties can work together to expedite investigations and conclusions of corrupt matters.
The Anti-Corruption Commission held its annual meeting with the Erongo media in Swakopmund last week. The main point of discussion was the role the media plays in the fight against corruption and how the two parties can work together to expedite the successful exposure and conclusion of corrupt matters. Anti-Corruption Commission Deputy Director General, Advocate Erna van der Merwe, said the media in Namibia is a crucial apparatus in the exposure of corruption and a key partner of the corruption watchdog. She said that the media is the link between the citizenry and the public institutions because media is the platform through which the citizenry can demand accountability and transparency and thus good governance. According to her, investigative bodies such as the Anti-Corruption Commission would have difficulty to successfully unravel corrupt conduct without the collaboration of the media.
We want to engage with the media in our region and to build on our already established relationship with the media here.
We have seen that the battle of corruption cannot be won without the active participation of the media. I would therefore like to thank those media practitioners who continuously bring aspects of corrupt practices to the fore. We therefore count on your continuous cooperation to ensure we fight the scourge of corruption.
The media is one of the most powerful instruments in fighting corruption. It is mainly investigative journalism that is in the past led to the uncovering of many corrupt practices.
Namibia is fortunate to be amongst those countries which enjoys freedom of the press. The media is the link between the citizenry and public institutions because the media is the platform through which the citizenry can demand accountability and transparency and thus also good governance. Investigative bodies such as the Anti-Corruption Commission would have difficulty to, without collaboration of the media, successfully unravel corruption. We are therefore among the first to recognize the really important role of the media. Thus, when necessary and at the appropriate time, the Anti-Corruption Commission will continue to share information with and then through the media.
When we return, we'll be taking a look at the news headlining Namibia's daily print publications. But first, a trip to the marketplace.
My.NA Property Show provides viewers with the best in-class content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest property-related products and services. If you would like to feature your brand or your campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Properties, more than just a roof over your head.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Inside today's daily newspapers. State House yesterday defended President Hage Geingoob's foreign travels, saying they have brought great benefits to the country. This is reported on page 1 of the Namibian Sun, which further reports the president's extensive travels have sparked media reports since his first term in office, when, as reported by the Namibian in 2016, he traveled to 12 cities, averaging a foreign trip per month. In 2015, he was said to have earned $2.4 million in travel payments in a space of 8 months. Having traveled to 19 cities in 2018, he traveled to 16 times. In recent months, Geingob travels have come under scrutiny again, with questions raised on whether the costly overseas expeditions are beneficial to the country. This is particularly so in light of a lack of notable investment in a country ravaged by high unemployment and poverty rates. Youth unemployment in Namibia is predicted to be about 50% at the moment, with new graduates crowding streets every month. Geingob's press secretary, Dr. Alfredo Hengari, in a statement yesterday said the trips have unlocked significant investment opportunities for Namibia, definitely worth a read in today's Namibian Sun. Still with the Namibian Sun, on page 3, it reports the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defence and Security has recommended the fast-tracking of citizenship for currently stateless refugees who fled Angola in the 1970s. Presenting a report in Parliament this week, SWAPO Member of Parliament Lucia Vedboy said this can be done either by relaxing the existing requirements or using the same template applied to repatriate Ovaherero descendants from Botswana. A bidder for the lucrative tender of providing catering services to government hostels in Namibia has brought an application in the High Court to set aside a decision by the Central Procurement Board to cancel the bidding process, according to the Republican. Palmer Trading Enterprises (CC) is also asking the court to re-evaluate the bids for the tender, which normally amounts to almost 3.6 billion in full compliance with the order of the review panel, which was decided on 18 March last year. The respondents in this case includes the Ministries of Finance as well as Education, Arts and Culture. Like we shared earlier on in the show, a brand new periodic court has been built at Seeis, and the unveiling of the inaugural plaque and the cutting of the ribbon took place this morning. Republican reports on this event where Chief Justice Peter Shivute, Minister of Justice Yvonne Dausep and Chief Magistrate Philanda Christian gave speeches and highlighted the importance of reducing barriers and granting people in rural areas access to services. On its front page, the Algemene Zeitung today leads with an article about the United Nations Ocean Conference that is currently underway in Lisbon, Portugal. The Namibian Prime Minister, Honorable Saraku Kongwela Amadila, attended and told the audience that at the heart of the Namibian economy is the ocean. We draw sustenance and anchor many of our livelihoods in the ocean economy and therefore feel compelled to play our role in the sustainable use of marine resources. On its page 3, the Algemene Zeitung brings a report about the Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Honorable Karl Schleitwein, who has expressed his displeasure about the manner in which certain members of the opposition and of the media have, according to his point of view, tried to misinterpret the new Land Act so as to heat up the argument about communal land being awarded to foreigners. He made a point of informing members of parliament that communal land could only be leased by foreigners. Do stick around for more newspaper review right after the break.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact @synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.
We continue delving through our local newspapers. The Namibian reports that the Namibia Students Financial Assistance Fund will be writing off $2.6 billion interest on $5.2 billion owed by beneficiaries from 1 July. The institution has announced. Now, the international amnesty will be until 30th June 2023. This comes after the institution vowed to go to defaulters' assets and publish about 52,000 student loan defaulters' names in the newspapers after struggling for over a decade to get loan holders to pay back the money. On its page 3, the Namibian reports that the international airport services company Seeis Aviation has lost a fight to hold on to a contract to provide ground handling services to the Namibia Airports Company at Hosea Kutako International Airport. Now, members of parliament have urged the Home Affairs Ministry to grant citizenship to Angolan immigrants who arrived in Namibia in 1976, just after their nation got independence. This is according to the New Era, which further reports that this information is contained in a report submitted by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defence and Security submitted to the National Assembly on Tuesday. On its page 3, the New Era reports that the Namibian Police Chief Sebastian Deitunga has said that his office will no longer tolerate police officers who steal government fuel for their personal vehicles. Recently, a 43-year-old police officer at Omuthia was granted 7,000 Namibian dollars bail after being arrested for allegedly filling his personal vehicle with government fuel. Business in the commercial and retail services sectors, as well as the commercial rental property space, were the main drivers of credit uptake during May 2022. Now, according to the Bank of Namibia, growth in credit extended to businesses increased to 7.4% at the end of May 2022, relative to a growth rate of 5.9% in April 2022. The cost of borrowing in May stood at 4.25%. In June, the central bank increased the repo rate by 50 basis points to 4.75%, which makes borrowing expensive. Local analysts expect interest rates to continue increasing during the rest of the year due to inflationary pressures. The Bank of Namibia noted that the increase in credit uptake by corporates started in April and reflects a rise in demand for short-term asset-backed credit facilities and other loan and advances. Africa can save at least $5 billion annually in intracontinental trade. Stick around for economic news here on NMH at 1.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. We crunch the numbers that matter, decipher statistics that shape Namibian lives, discuss smart money, and explore the impact of global development locally. Money makes the world go round, so catch us on NTV, oneup2.com, and the Facebook platforms of the Namibian Sun, Republikane, Algemeine Zeitung, and Namibia Media Holdings. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
In today's economic news, Africa can bolster intercontinental trade and reduce transaction costs by $5 billion annually under a recently launched payment system. The Pan-African Payment and Settlement System also ensures instant transfer of funds from one country to another, regardless of the currencies. Chief Emeka Obegulu, the president of the Pan-African Lawyers Union, said the tool was key to accelerating cross-border trade in Africa, which remains low at 13% compared to other regions of the world. One of the factors hindering trade is reliance on third currencies, US dollars, euros, and the British pound, for the clearing and settlement of cross-border payments and transactions. The use of such currencies in intra-African trade is considered a barrier in that it leads to high cost and long transaction times. PAPS, a financial facility enabling cross-border payment transaction, has been launched after the Continental Trade Pact came into force. The technology connects African banks, payment service providers, and other financial market intermediaries for instant and secure payments between countries. Under the system, instant payments are made by originators to beneficiaries in their local currencies, no matter where they are in Africa. This not only simplifies the transactions, but also lowers the cost of making such payments across African borders, opening other economic opportunities. Simplified cross-border payments reduce payment transaction costs by $5 billion annually. The president of Arusha-based lawyers body said simplified processes reduce the cost given the complexities of foreign exchange use of cross-border transactions between African markets. The vast continent of 1.3 billion people accounts for only 2.2% of global exports and 2.8% of global imports by 2020. Now, the UK government imposed sanctions on Vladimir Potanin, Russia's richest man and the president of MMC Norilsk Nickel PJSC, in the latest escalation of economic measures against Moscow. Potanin, whose net worth is $37.1 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, has until now largely avoided Western sanctions that have been imposed on other members of the Russian elite. He was sanctioned by Canada in April. It wasn't clear whether the sanctions on Potanin would extend to Nornickel, which is one of the world's largest producers of nickel, palladium, and copper. Potanin is the company's top executive and owns over 30% through his investment company, Interos. Palladium rose as much as 7.7% on the news, while nickel price jumped 9.2% before pairing gains. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Potanin has bought up some of Russia's key privately owned banks, including buying Rosebank PJSC from Societe Generale SA in its updated sanctions list. Now, the UK said Potanin is obtaining a benefit from supporting the government of Russia by owning or controlling Rosebank. It made no mention of Nornickel. UK government sanctions on individuals automatically extended to any company they own or control. Now, the UK is not a significant market for the company, which sells most of its products in the EU, the US, and China. Still, it is the home of the London Metal Exchange, which controls a network of warehouses around the world and where global metal prices are set. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is down in value against all these major currencies while retaining its value at 2 Namibian dollars and 37 cents for 1 Chinese yuan. Namibia Breweries shares will now cost 2.30% more on the NSX, while other prices remain unchanged. Local index is up by 0.74%, while a 1.33% drop in overall index is observed on the NSX. Gold and Brent crude oil are down in value, while copper and zinc rose in value. Stick around for news from Africa right after the break. Let's take a look at our news from across the continent. 20 people were found dead in the Libyan Desert following a vehicle breakdown near the border with Chad and were presumed to have died of thirst, rescuers said yesterday. A team recovered 20 bodies found in the desert after their vehicle broke down, rescue services in the southeastern region of Kufra said in a statement. Now, the vehicle had come from neighboring Chad and reached some 120 kilometers into Libyan territory before breaking down, the statement added. They all died of thirst, read the statement. The service published a video on Facebook showing decomposing bodies in the desert sand near a pickup truck. Libya was plunged into lawlessness following the 2011 uprising that toppled and killed dictator Muammar Gaddafi, and its southern borders with Chad, Niger, and Sudan have become notorious for people trafficking and smuggling. Thousands of people cross them every year in attempts to reach the Mediterranean coast and ultimately Europe, but many die en route, including the harsh Sahara Desert. In our next story, the authorities in Nigeria say they are expecting to receive at least 38 Nigerians who are being deported from the United Kingdom. The deportees include members of the LGBTQ+ communities who had sought asylum in the UK. Others are mothers, grandmothers, and people who had lived in the UK for decades. They are scheduled to arrive in Lagos early on Thursday morning on a controversial Home Office charter flight. There are indications some Ghanaian nationals who are also being deported might be on the flight. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Ministry told the BBC that the affected persons are being sent back to the country due to the immigration-related offences. Human rights campaigners in the UK say they are concerned about the welfare of the deportees. They say about 10 women among the deportees are suffering from severe mental health problems and are on antipsychotic medication. Campaigners believe some of the affected persons could face persecution either because of their religion or on the basis of their sexual orientation. On Wednesday, protesters gathered in County Durham in northeast England to demand that they remain in Britain. Now, in our next story, South Africans are experiencing, in the middle of winter, the country's most drastic outages since 2019. The state-owned electricity utility Eskom will implement Stage 6 of load shedding between 4 and 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Stage 6 means that power cuts would be increased to 6,000 megawatts. South Africans expect to endure on a rational basis multiple cuts a day, each lasting between 2 and 4 hours as they try to use electricity sparingly. Persistent electricity disruptions, partly due to the breakdown of power stations, have affected South Africa's economy. This time, the state enterprise minister cited ongoing strikes over wages and intimidation of workers willing to attend to their duties as the main reason behind the current situation. Eskom is in this position because of the industrial action, which has meant that in many power stations, up to 90% of the staff could not attend the duties because of intimidation, Pravin Gordhan told a media briefing. In Eskom's latest statement, the company confirms to the public that load shedding could last until Friday and shall be reduced to stage 4 and 2. It seems that the storm is not over for disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly, who has now been sentenced to 30 years in jail for sex crimes involving minors. This story and more coming up on the other side of the break. Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years behind bars yesterday for leading a decades-long effort to recruit and trap teenagers and women for sex. The sentence, stiffer than the 25 years in prison that prosecutors had sought, caps a long downfall for the 55-year-old former superstar. In September, the I Believe I Can Fly artist was found guilty on all 9 charges he faced, including the most serious of racketeering. Breon Pease, the U.S. Attorney for Eastern District of New York, hailed the sentence as a significant outcome for the 11 victims who testified about the horrific and sadistic abuse they endured. Now the sentence comes over a month before a jury selection is due to start in Kelly's separate, long-delayed federal trial in Chicago on August 15. In that case, Kelly and 2 of his former associates are alleged to have rigged the singer's 2008 pornography trial and hid years of sexual abuse of minors. The musician, who once dominated R&B, also faces prosecution in 2 other states' jurisdictions. Kelly's conviction in New York was widely seen as a milestone for the #MeToo movement. It was the first major sex abuse trial where the majority of the accusers were black women. It was also the first time Kelly faced criminal consequences for the abuse he for decades was rumored to have inflicted on women and children. Now, the only surviving attacker from the group that carried out the November 2015 Paris attacks has been found guilty of terrorism and murder charges. Salah Abdeslam received a rare full life sentence for his role in the gun and bomb attacks that killed 130 people. The court also convicted 19 other men involved, 6 of whom are believed to be dead. The trial, the biggest in modern French history, began last September. For more than 9 months, victims, journalists, and the families of the dead lined up outside the specially built courtroom in Paris to piece together the story of the worst attack in France since World War II. The attack across bars, restaurants, the National Football Stadium, and Bataclan music venue on 13th November 2015 saw hundreds injured alongside those killed. At the beginning of the trial, Abdeslam was defiant, describing himself as a soldier of the so-called Islamic State group, but he later apologized to the victims, telling the court in his closing remarks that he was not a murderer or a killer, and that to convict him of murder would be an injustice. To stick around for local sports news.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Let's take a look at our local sports news. Namibian match official and former Brave Gladiators player Tonya Nyukwa Ansino has been selected to officiate at the 2022 Women Africa Cup of Nations finals taking place from 2 to 23 July 2022 in Morocco. Ansino is the only Namibian selected out of 40 match officials from 24 various countries across Africa. The tournament will have 16 referees, 16 assistant referees, and 8 video assistant referees. Now, the Paris Paralympics are just 2 years away, and many of Namibia's Paralympic golden generation will be keen on giving it one last try before calling it a day. For coach Michael Hamukwaya and the Paralympics team, their task is to make sure that they have a strong team able to compete for medals at the Paris 2024 Paralympics gold medalist Ananias Shikongo will be 38 years old by the time the next games takes place. Shikongo's friend and compatriot Johannes Nambala, who has also won several medals, will be 34 at the time the Paris competition takes place. London 2012 Golden Girl Johannes Benson, who has not lived up to a stunning performance a decade ago, will be 35 in 2024. Laja Ishitile, who made her debut about 9 years ago, will be turning 27 in 2024. Now, the International Tennis Federation's World Tennis Tour stopped off in Windhoek, with players from all over the world making their way to Namibia to earn a valuable ITF points. South African Leo Matthijssen and French Malagasy June Vissoud both made valuable contributions to the tournament with their skills and endurance. Tournament director Doreen Koon said the visitors' performance presented Namibian tennis stakeholders with the opportunity to learn from the competition. Namibian tennis coach SP van Wyk believes that a lack of playing time and competition platforms for Namibian players is a serious hindrance to the nation's international tennis rankings. Right after the break, we will highlight news from the international sports scene.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
In our international sports news, Tottenham are closing in on Everton forward Richarlison with agreement over a fee possibly on Thursday. It is understood personal terms have been discussed with the 25-year-old who wants to make the move. The Brazil international joined Everton from Watford for €50 million in 2018 and has since scored 53 goals in 152 appearances for the Seeis club. He finished top scorer at Everton last season as the club narrowly avoided relegation from the Premier League. Welsh rugby has a few frontiers left to conquer. This includes winning the World Cup, celebrating a victory in New Zealand, and achieving a solitary success against the Springboks in South Africa. It has proved an imperfect 10 for Wales so far on their visits to face South Africa in the Rainbow Nation. 10 international matches between 1964 and 2014, 10 defeats. In those games, South Africa have outscored Wales by 415-137 with an average scoreline of 41-14. Wales have managed 6 wins of 37 games between the two countries since the first match in 1906, with 5 of those wins in Cardiff and another in Washington, D.C. in 2018. Lock Kadarian Neville will make his Australia debut at the age of 33 when the Wallabies begin their 3-test series against England on Saturday. Neville starts in the pack alongside debutant hooker David Perocchi as coach Dave Rennie places an emphasis on the set piece in Perth. Rennie said Neville is a great story for the guys out there who might have thought the dream had passed them. At 33 years and 235 days, Neville is the third oldest Australia debutant since World War II and partners Broomby's teammate Darcy Swain in the second row. Do stick around for highlights right after the break.
I usually spend about $600 Namibian for a full tank, which usually lasts me the entire month because I do not drive around that much. The longest stretch I've ever gone with my car is to Kamanyap, and that was for leisure purposes. The service at the Namco service station is excellent because when you get there, you're met by employees who are always ready to cater to you. Whether it's them fueling your car, checking your tire pressure, offering to wash your windscreen, or checking your engine oil. The one thing that makes me proudly Namibian is being able to experience Namibia in all its beauty through travel.
You're watching NMH at 1, and if you've just joined us, here are your news highlights. 20 people were found dead in the Libyan Desert following a vehicle breakdown near the border with Chad and were presumed to have died of thirst, rescuers said on Wednesday. Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years behind bars yesterday for leading a decades-long effort to recruit and trap teenagers and women for sex. Namibia match official and former Brave Gladiators player Twanyanyukwa Ansinom has been selected to officiate at the 2022 Women Africa Cup of Nations finals taking place from 2 to 23 July 2022 in Morocco. Those have been your highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with me, Glenna Rashipura. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. Do stay with us for a compilation of news from across Namibia in our regional review segment.
Good day viewers, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Regional Review. My name is Desiree Gassis and I am the NMH correspondent for the Central North. Well, today is Social Media Day, and we all know that social media has definitely become a huge part of many of our lives. Some of us use social media to keep in touch with our friends and family who are all around the world. So stay tuned for the following video. Well, viewers, thank you so much for staying tuned. Now we will be moving on to our next segment, which is our news segment, where we do have the municipality of Chivarango, where they paid a visit to the Camp 5, the municipal Camp 5, because the municipality of Chivarango established that there were residents residing in the municipal Camp 5 without the authorization by the Chivarango Council. It was further recorded by the municipality that they were carrying out farming-related activities, including and not only limited to livestock, without the consent of the municipality of Chivarango. And therefore, the council did inform the illegal farmers and instruct them that they were hereby to vacate the camp immediately, and failure to comply with this notice will result in their livestock being impounded, and they will be expected to pay an amount of 249 Namibian dollars 10 cents, and this will be applicable per head of livestock per day. So we did do some snippets there that day, so stay tuned for some of the snippets.
The 1st of July, I'm not saying in July, from the 1st of July going ahead, we will call you, you will sign a lease agreement, you will substantially pay an amount of 250 Namibian dollars altogether per month. That is to pay for what we have explained earlier. And we sign, you can only pay upon signing a lease agreement. It is mandatory, but it's not forced. We are not going to force you to do that. We cannot come and say, come, sign. It's your right not to sign, but it's also the municipality's right not to give you that land. Do you understand? People, in those people, the rates and taxes in those areas is over 6,000. 5 to 6,000 rates and taxes. That's not where we are going. You pay the 250 for yourself, and then we give you land rights. We enter into lease agreement with yourselves. And then we will then apportion a development fund. From that fund, now that amount that is being paid in Sarai, being paid in Ombili, being paid in Eyerisiko, will constitute what we call Chivarango Informal Settlement Infrastructure Upgrading Fund. It is the money we are going to use to develop these communities for the municipality. That 60% of that money goes to the fund, 40% goes to the municipality, because the land belongs to who? To the municipality. So far, I want to make it very clear, so far, the water we pay in Sarah Ibes and Telecom is subsidized by the taxpayers in town and Orotoveni. So far, all your services that you have is subsidized, and you pay nothing for your land as we speak. You are living at the cost of those people who are paying tax as we speak. And that is not fair. And municipality comes up with modalities and say, look, let's give people land rights and let them contribute to the cost. And again, there are 2 types of land rights we are going to give. Where's the layout? Come here closer. Now, those of you who find yourself in portion H, I, and 72, you are going through what we call the flexible land tenure system. What does it mean? And then those who are in plot J, most of in the area of Telecom most side, you are going to go the freehold system. What does it mean? Here it follows. Flexible land tenure system, we are going to give you what we call landhold title rights. Meaning those rights, land rights, are given in a community setup of 100 households. You see, these blocks are already 100 households. So we're going to give you rights per 100 households. And at the next community meeting, when we are coming to announce the next community meeting, there was a question earlier, how did you come up with this meeting? We'll explain that. We normally announce our meetings, and we put notices long ago. So we are going to call another meeting for this community, and during that meeting, you must already go home. As you leave this meeting, go home. Those who are living in block H and I, not really telecom area, go home and think about 10 members of those households that are going to form your management committee. 10 members, and don't go because...
Secondly, in our news segment, we did visit the Tobich Optics, which is an optics located here in Otjiwarongo, and they have been in business for more than 10 years now, and they did do some new renovations. There were some new things that they brought into the optics, starting from the technology that they use to the type of frames that they use, starting from your basic frames to your luxury frames. And Bertus, who is the founder of this optics, did take us around, show us around. So stay tuned for the following snippets. Later in our interview segment, you will see that we did have a chat with him, and he will dive a little bit more deeper into the optics.
So I'm sitting from here and controlling the whole eye test. So I think in this COVID times we're living in, this is something also that gives patient security that I'm not in their space, and yeah, I think it at the end of the day we strive for the most accurate eye test, and yeah, this helps a lot because this is not only a manual system, and nothing wrong with the old system, but definitely this gives us a lot of options to in a shorter time period provide a good quality eye test.
Africa Good Morning is the current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact AGM at synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
Well, viewers, that is it for our news segment. Moving on to our interview segment. As I mentioned previously, we did have a bit of a chat with Bertus, who is the founder and the owner of the optics. So stay tuned for the interview that we had with him.
Hello, I'm Bertus de Jager. I'm the owner of Tobich Optics in Otjiwarongo. We are here since 2008. We opened the practice. We started small and had a lot of vision for the future. And the main reason we thought of Otjiwarongo was because the town gave the opportunity for bringing another optics to the town. Tobich Optics are striving to give exceptional service and provide our customers with a good quality of frames and lenses. We also provide special contact lens services, and I think you would be able to get a wide variety of frames, and not only optical frames, but sunglasses as well. We give the patients the option, if they don't find something here, I can order it from anywhere in the world. There will always be a waiting period, but for that type of service, I think any patient is willing to wait a bit. At the end of the day, we renovated the shop and enlarged the shop last year, and so this is the new Tobich Optics at the moment. I hope this is an addition to Otjiwarongo, to any shop in Otjiwarongo, to show that we are proud of the town, and we are proud to be here, and we are really here to provide a special customer service for any patients. I think another thing which is special service we tried to implement was once in every 2 months the eye specialist from Swakopmund is coming to visit us, and he see all local people or all people in the north that doesn't want to travel all the way to Swakop or all the way to Windhoek. He can do a consultation here. It's nothing to do with me. Any other independent optics can also send people to him, and he just deliver the service. Again, I think that is a big advantage for Otjiwarongo, because there's not other eye specialists traveling up north in Namibia, and there's a very, very big demand for it. So at the end we at Durban Optics and my colleagues working together, we are proud of our company, and we really are striving to give the most innovative, most positive, most best quality service at the moment, because we also know that this is difficult times, and without that vision, I feel there might not be a very good future. But with the other vision and our vision, I think we can strive to be a competitor in the market. Thank you.
Okahanya is sunny and cooler and windy with temperatures in the low 20s. Otjiwarongo is mostly sunny and beautiful with temps that are somewhat higher. Mostly sunny and comfortable temps are forecast for Tsumeb, which should increase somewhat over the weekend. Patchy clouds are forecast for Grootfontein that should clear by tomorrow. Otherwise, it is mostly sunny and beautiful with low nighttime temps. Finally, Okakarara is mostly sunny and beautiful, but sub-zero nighttime temperatures are expected from Saturday and into the new week.